The January 2026 numbers from Montgomery County, Maryland came in from Bright MLS. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. The median home price in Montgomery County, Maryland dropped for the first time in a while. Inventory is up almost 38%. Homes, well, they're taking nearly double the time to sell compared to last year. And if you're shopping for a condo, prices are down over 4%. And there are 54% more units sitting on the market. But before you panic or you get too excited, I need to walk you through exactly what's happening by the property type. Because this market is telling a very different story depending on whether you're looking at single family homes, townhomes, or condos. Let's break it down. I'm Petena Thomas with Real Broker, and I sell real estate in Montgomery County, Maryland, and the DC suburbs. These monthly market updates, they are based on actual data from Bright MLS. That's the multiple listing service that powers our entire region. So no opinions pretending to be facts, just the numbers, what they mean, and what I'll tell you if you were sitting across from me right now. If you find this helpful, subscribe. I do these type of videos every month, so you always know exactly where the market stands. All right, let's start with the overall Montgomery County numbers, all of the property types combined. Overall closed sales, 507 homes sold in January. And that's actually up 3.5% from last January when 490 homes closed. So homes, they are trading hands. And that's a positive sign. It tells us buyers are active and deals are getting done. But here's the headline number. The median sold price came in at $595,000. And that is down 0.8% from $599,945 last January. Now, a less than 1% decline is not a crash. Let me be very clear about that. But it is notable because for years, we've been used to seeing prices go up, and up in Montgomery County. So a slight decline, it tells us the market is recalibrated. All right, days on market. This is the one that jumped out at me. 37 days. Last January, 19 days. That's nearly double. Homes are sitting almost 3 weeks longer before they sell. If you're a seller, that number should get your attention immediately. New pending sales, 594. Essentially flat, it's up 0.5%. So buyer activity, it's holding steady and people are still writing contracts. That's the important part. But the biggest number in this entire report, active listing. There are now 1,168 homes on the market in Montgomery County, Maryland. Last January, there were 848. That is a 37.7% increase. Let that sink in. Nearly 38% more inventory. That's 320 more homes for buyers to choose from compared to a year ago. And months of supply, it went from 1.05 to 1.45. Now, a balanced market is typically around 4 to 6 months of supply. This is still technically a seller's market, but the direction of travel, it's clear. We're moving towards balance. One more number I love, showings. There were 14,990 showings in January and up 2% from last year. That tells me that demand is there. People are out looking. Even through the winter storm we just had, buyers are still active. Now, here's where it gets really interesting because the overall numbers hide 3 completely different stories dependent on property type. Let's start with detached single family homes. Detached homes had a strong January for sales. 263 homes closed, and that's up 20.1% from last year. That's a big jump. People are buying houses, and new pending contracts came in at 288, and that's up 16.6%. So the pipeline for detached homes, it's very healthy, but prices essentially flat. The median sold price for a detached home was $797,000. That's down 0.4% from $800,000 last year. So if you're selling a single family home, buyers are buying, but they are not paying more than they did a year ago. The days of automatic appreciation on detached homes in MoCo, we're taking a pause. Days on market doubled. Detached homes took 38 days to sell versus 19 days last January. And active listings rose 22% to 438 homes. So there are more choices for buyers, and sellers need to be more patient and more strategic with pricing. My take for detached home sellers, the demand is clearly there. 20% more homes sold, but buyers have options now. And quite frankly, they're taking their time. If your home is well priced and well presented, it will sell. If it's overpriced by 3 to 5%, it's going to sit on the market for some time. Pricing precision matters more right now than at any point since 2019. Now let's talk about townhomes. And this is where the data really surprised me. Townhome sales were up 10.5%, 126 closings versus 114 last year. And the median price ticked up 2% to $500,000, crossing that $500,000 mark. So on the surface, the townhome market, it looks healthy on the surface. But then you look at the days on market and your jaw drops. Townhomes took 40 days to sell in January. Last year, 10 days. That's a 30-day increase. That is the single most dramatic shift in any property type in this entire report. So what does that tell us? A year ago, townhomes in Montgomery County, Maryland, they were flying off the shelf. And I remember very vividly, a property can be listed Monday, under contract by the following Thursday. That's gone. Today, we're looking at 5 to 6 weeks. And that's a fundamentally different market experience for sellers. Active townhome listings are up 39.8%, 225 on the market versus 161 a year ago. And new listings actually dropped 12.9%, meaning fewer sellers are listed. But inventory is still growing because those homes that's been on the market, they're taking longer to sell. And that's the definition of a market softening. My take for townhome buyers, you are in a much stronger negotiating position than you were a year ago. With 40 days on market, sellers who have been sitting for 3 to 4 weeks, they are willing to negotiate. So ask for closing cost help. Ask for that rate buy down. You now have leverage that you did not have 12 months ago. Use it. For townhome sellers, if you're pricing based on what your neighbor got last spring, stop right there. That was a different market. Price to where the market is today, not where it was. And invest in staging and presentation. Because with 225 options on the market, your townhome, it needs to stand out. Now, condos. And I'm going to be straight with you because the condo numbers are the softest in this report. And they're usually the first segment to get hit every single time a market starts to soften. Condo sales dropped 24.8%. Only 118 condos closed in January compared to 157 last year. That's a significant decline. New pending contracts were down 18%. So fewer people are buying condos and fewer are going under contract. The median condo price fell to $302,500. That's down 4.3% from $316,000 a year ago. That's a real price decline, not a rounding error, not a blip. Condos are selling for less. And the inventory situation for condos, it's dramatic. There are 505 condos on the market, up 54% from a 328 just a year ago. Months of supply went from 1.54 to 2.50. The condo market is the closest to balance of any property type in Montgomery County, Maryland. Now, why are condos struggling more? Well, a few factors. First, your monthly HOA or condo fees have been rising, and that eats directly into what buyers can afford. So when someone qualifies for a $350,000 purchase, a $500 a month HOA fee effectively reduces their buying power by $50,000 or $60,000. Second, with detached home prices flat and townhomes still at $500K, some buyers who might have bought a condo are now stretching into a townhome instead. And third, remote work continues to make space a priority, and condos typically offer less. My take for condo buyers, well, this is the most buyer-friendly segment in all of Montgomery County, Maryland right now. With 505 units on the market and counting, you can be extremely selective. Negotiate hard, ask for those concessions. And if a condo has been sitting for 30 days or more, the seller is motivated. For first-time buyers or investors, the math on condos near metro stations, it could be compelling right now if the HO fees make sense. For condo sellers, this is not the market to be wishful about pricing. Look at what's actually closing, not what your unit was worth 2 years ago. Consider offering to cover a portion of the buyer's closing costs or pay for a rate buy down. Anything to make your listing stand out in a sea of 505 options. Now, before anyone walks away from this video feeling doom and gloom, let me give you the other side of the story, because there is a silver lining, and it's a big one. Mortgage rates. As of filming this today, February 11, 2026, the average 30-year fixed rate is sitting right around 6%. And I've seen lower in our local market at least. So if you want to know about those, just contact me. Some sources have it as low as 5.95%. A year ago at this time, 6.89%. Let me put that in real dollars. On a $595,000 purchase with a 10% down, a $535,500 mortgage going from 6.89 to 6% saves you approximately $335 per month. That's over $4,000 a year. Over 30 years, we're talking about $120,000 in interest savings. And here's the thing. The Mortgage Bankers Association, they're forecasting rates to stay in that 6 to 6.5% range through 2026. Fannie Mae expects them to hover near 6%. And this is likely as good as it's gonna get for the foreseeable future. Who knows? But if you've been waiting for rates to come down, they came down and they're continuing that trajectory. But not to 3%. That's not coming back, but to a level that improves affordability. Combine that with more inventory going into the spring and slightly softening prices, the math for buyers in Montgomery County, Maryland is better right now than it's been since at least 2022. All right, bottom line time. Let me give you the takeaways by situation. If you're in the market for buying a property, whether it's a townhome, single family condo, whatever. This is the best buy-in environment in Montgomery County in 3 to 4 years. Active inventory is up nearly 38%. Prices dip slightly, and I expect to see the same in our February report. Rates are near multi-year lows, and homes, they're sitting long enough for you to actually think before you make an offer. No more panic buying the first weekend a home is listed. My specific advice, get pre-approved this week, not next month, not when spring hits, now. As more buyers realize conditions have improved, well, competition will pick back up, especially in April and May. The smart money moves before the crowd. And pay attention to the property type. If you want a single family home, the demand is strong and it's still there. You'll still face some sort of competition on well-priced properties. But if you're open to a townhome or a condo, now that's where you have significantly more leverage than you did a year ago. If you're a seller right now, the market is rewarding realism and punishing wishful thinking. Your home will sell. Montgomery County, it is still under 2 months of supply across the board. But it won't sell in a weekend like it might have last year. And it won't sell if you priced it based on 2024 comps that no longer apply. Price it right from day one. Invest in staging and professional photos. And understand that offering buyer concessions like a rate buy down or closing cost credit is not a sign of weakness. It's a smart strategy in a market where buyers have choices. So let them choose you. If you're an investor, look at condos. Seriously, prices down 4.3%, inventory up 54%, and the most leverage you've had in years. So if you find a condo near a metro stop with reasonable HOA fees and strong rental demand, the numbers could work very well right now. Just run the math carefully, but the opportunity is real. That's your January 2026 market update from Montgomery County, Maryland, broken down by detached homes, townhomes, and condos. So you can see exactly what's happening in the segment that matters the most to you. The bottom line, the market is shifting, not crashing, shifting. And shifts create opportunities for people who understand what's actually happening instead of relying on the headlines or gut feelings. If you have a question about your specific situation, what your home might be worth, whether now is the right time to buy, or what a certain neighborhood is doing, drop those questions down below in the comments. I read every single one and I respond personally. Or send me an email at hello@petenathomas.com. I'm going to do this update every single month so you always have current data. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you want to know what it's like to actually live in different Montgomery County neighborhoods, I've got videos on that too. Check out this one right here. I'm Petena Thomas with Real Broker. Catch you on the next one. Bye.